Yeah, hi Fox, here I am again, Lida Bach, with a new interview for Moviebreak, and I'm speaking today to Ali Asgari. Hi Ali.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. And I saw your movie last year at Cannes, where it had its premiere in Un certain regard, I believe. And it was quite an experience to see it there because it was so different not only from the other movies that we saw at Cannes, but also from the work you did before, which was basically more fiction based.
Yeah.
How did you decide now to jump on to this movie, which feels like a mix of documentary and fiction, even though it's technically a fictional story?
Yeah, as you said, my previous works were quite narrative and quite fiction. For this film, some part of it was based on obligation and some part was based on artistic choice. From artistic choice, I try to break a little bit my style. It doesn't mean that I don't want to make fiction film or I don't want to continue like that, but I wanted to break it for some times to make something that is different from my previous film. I didn't want to stay in the safe zone that I had all the time. So the audience also expecting the same thing from me. So if they are going to watch one of my films, they see something that have been happening before. So I decided to change a little bit the style. I'm making a new film also. It's also very different from all my works and also from the terrestrial verses also. And from as I said, there was also obligation for that because we tried to make a film in Iran and we applied for permissions, but they didn't give us because the film had some scenes that they didn't like it. They said, you're not allowed to make this film. And it was a screenplay that we worked for 2 years. And so we said, let's just get rid of all this process of permissions and all those things and make a film without permission. And with a small crew and something that can be accessible for us. And that started the idea of the film. So we wrote the script for a film in a situation like that, interior scenes with a small crew and something that is I wanted to be free. I wanted to make a film without someone's controlling me, because as you see in the film, this system is controlling everything from your childhood, from your adulthood, from your screenplay, everything they try to control that. So what was important for me to write a film without any consideration, just write something that I like, and that's why the idea of the film came.
The movie is a compilation of about 12 vignettes, which are very social critical. And this is like, speaking of the safe zone that you mentioned, you move very far out of the safe zone. For example, what you just said, like you try to make a movie, but you were always hindered by obligations. We have a scene in the movie where a director tries to get a script through, and in the end his whole script is basically eroded by the cultural ministry of Iran. But you, as far as I know, you still live in Iran, or at least you were living in Iran at the time when you made the movie. Yeah. Were you worried about going back after Cannes? If you would be able, for example, to work again in Iran?
I was worried, but we knew about the consequences. In fact, I still live in Iran, and I want to live in Iran. And that's the thing, you know. I don't want to go out from Iran because of this situation. Because I think filmmaking is not for me just a filmmaking. It's the act of resistance. So I try to resist through my film. That's why I make film. And there are, of course, some consequences all the time. After Cannes, when I was back, my passport and some of my belongings, like mobile laptop, has been confiscated by the system, and I was not allowed to travel for 8 months. And still, one of the actresses of the film, after 1 year, she doesn't have her passport. They took it from her, and she's banned to work. And but I think, of course, I'm not afraid, because I think this is what it should be. You know, if a system doesn't want you to make a film, that you should not say okay. You should. I think you have to resist for that. Like the characters in the film, they are also resisting. Of course, that's why we were worried, especially for me. I'm worried for the team that worked with me, but at the end, they were all happy to contribute in a film like that.
The characters in the movie, they are all faced by a representative of institution, and what they want is basically plain, normal, everyday things. We have a father that wants to register the name of his newborn son. We have a young woman who wants to get the driver's license back that has been confiscated because she allegedly was seen driving without a hijab. And we see in this movie quite impressive how people that are not necessarily very extremist in their religion, but simply, as one could say, doing their job, can help a system or actually keep it in place by just doing their job and maybe still saying, oh, I'm not very political, I'm not very religious or convicted. This is also very timely, I think, for other countries. And how do you see the global, political meaning of this movie, outside this world of Iran, in how normal people can become this kind of, what we in German we have this word, writing table perpetrator, somebody who always just stays at their table and does their job, but still becomes very active in doing some crimes that might be horrible for society.
Yeah. I think this film can be transferred to any country, but of course the elements are different, because the film is a confrontation of a power with a citizen. And in each country in the world, I showed the film in many countries so far, and in most of the countries there was someone that says you could make this film in our country, because this is the whole, I think, system that when there is a power, it's about if there is a power somewhere and you turn on your camera, you will find a lot of things like that. But what we were expecting to achieve was this confrontation with someone's personal life. This is something that for us was very important, to talk about this special topic about the personal life of the people who is controlled by this. And for this, there is always the people that are, we say that they're putting wood in the fire of the system, because they believe that it's their job to do that, but at the same they are a part of that. And that's why we didn't show the people behind the camera, because we wanted to talk about the system. We didn't want to talk about just one person or one individual, because if you show this person, you mean that I'm talking about this. But not showing that, you're talking about the whole. And so they are all these people, maybe just one person. They're all coming from the whole system, and they are part of them. Yeah, that's it.
And very interesting, even though the subject of the movie itself could be seen as very depressing and troubling, the movie has a lot of humor, and many of those scenes seem like absurd comedies. How do you use humor as a weapon against oppression?
From the beginning, we decided to be as much as funniest as possible, because, as you said, the film can be depressing. So we didn't want to make a very just dark film. We just we wanted to have this sparkle of hope also in the film, and that's why we added a lot of humor in the film, so the audience can laugh at this stupidity of the situation, the stupidity of the system sometimes. So it's like when you laugh at something, that thing is not serious anymore. So if you laugh at this system, I think it becomes more ridiculous. How it is ridiculous, the whole system, the whole idea of the system, how ridiculous it becomes. It's like a grotesque situation, but it's a reality. It's a reality that becomes like a grotesque. As you said, it became like a weapon for us. There is, I think, one short story by Hans Christian Andersen. It's about a king that everybody is saying that you're so great, you're so beautiful, and then how great you are, and then just one day someone tells him the king is naked, and then from that day the king becomes someone that the people can laugh at it. That's the thing that we wanted to say the king is naked. That's why we added all these humors in that.
The movie is also very, very complex in its structure and its layered meaning. For example, we have this aspect that the characters seem to get progressively older in the movie, even at least if you take the point that the first episode is actually about a newborn child.
Yeah,
and
that's why we named David. That episode we named David. So we wanted to mention that this is about this child, not about the father.
So in the last episode, then, is about an elderly woman. So then, of course, we have the title, this reference to poetry, which is also like the whole Arabian world is famous for its poetry. So it's like a cultural treasure that's also referred in the title. And did you and your co-director Alireza Khatamis talk about all those layers, or did they just organically float into the script?
No, we talked about it a lot, especially about this growing up, the age of the people in the film, and it was, but we were not from the beginning sure if we add like everybody by their age growing up or just put it somewhere the scenes. But later we decided to make a. To make the film like the characters are growing up, and then we added this title of terrestrial versus based on the poem by Furugh Farrokhzad, which we wanted to give an homage to her as a female poet, especially because while we were talking about the poem and poetry in Iran and in Middle Eastern countries, there is always the male-oriented like poets, and so we wanted to mention her very, especially because this poem was had a very apocalyptic. It's a very apocalyptic poem. It's talking about a very apocalyptic situation on the earth when the sun goes cold, so that the opening comes with this very strange verse that is about the sun that doesn't have any, is not anymore warm. But it was all through the discussion we came to these ideas.
And your movie has also an ending that feels apocalyptic, like everything would crumble down. Even if we don't see any physical destruction, we have the sense of everything breaking down. Is this also a kind of call to action, to protest and resistance?
That scene is very abstract scene. That's why I always try not to talk about exactly what that scene is about. I wanted to, everybody has its own idea about that scene. There was one formal approach, first of all, for that scene, because in the film we are breaking a lot of rules. We don't tell story that much. We don't have that much camera movement. We don't have anything. We just It's a film that we decided to take a lot of things that is normal in the film, like storytelling, like camera movements, like all the things from a film, and at the end it's a film. So we didn't want to stick just even in that rule. So we decided to have a scene that is breaking even our rules. This is a very apocalyptic, it's a very abstract scene that there is this old man there. From that point of view, was more formal for us. And then, of course, from this point of view, it can be a lot, because during the film we talk a lot about the Judgment Day, about the earthquake in Tehran, and there can be also some metaphor for something bigger, but I didn't want to mention it exactly what's that. And some people will get this and some interpretation, as you said, and some other people look at it as a different way. But I think whatever you see and you believe it's correct.
How did you and your co-director Alireza Khatamis come together and decide to make this project? Because what I heard, I don't know if it's true, is that at first you were not on such good footing with each other. Is that just a rumor, or is it true?
No, it's true, because it was in Venice Film Festival the first time that we met. We had both filmed there, and I didn't know him that much. I asked him to come to see my film, and he came, and after 10 minutes he stepped out of the cinema, and that's why I didn't like it, his approach. And later on we met in Toronto, we discussed about this, and he said, no, I had some works to do, and I had to go fast, I had interviews, and then... But afterward, because we both coming from, in a way, same background of the society, from the family point of view till the way we think, and we felt that we are very close together. Then later on we rewrote a screenplay together, and I directed it. It was called Until Tomorrow, which was in Berlinale 2 years ago. And then after, we could not get the permission, because he came to Iran to make his film, and when he could not get his permission, we decided to make this film.
And was it easy for two directors with a very specific vision, each for his own, to make this film? Did you have a lot of arguments, or was it...
No, not that much. We didn't have that much arguments, especially during the shooting and after that. We had some arguments more with the distribution of the film than the making of the film, because during the film it was everything scripted from the beginning, and the camera movement, we knew already what is the camera, how the camera is approaching the character. But we didn't want, in fact, to... we didn't discuss about anything in the film, because we divided most of the duties during the film, which was, I worked more with the actors of the film, because he didn't live in Iran for 17 years, and he doesn't have connection with the actors, and he could not approach that much the actors, and that's why I knew the actors, I was friend with most of them, and I worked a lot with Iranian actors, and that's why it was me that worked with the actors more than that. And so we divided something, and but at the end we had a rule that the first day we added a rule that if one of us who in any case doesn't like one idea, we just cancel that idea. So we stick on this rule, and we continued easily. Yeah.
You mentioned that you were in contact with the actors. How did you find them, and how did you convince them to take part in this movie, given all the risk associated with it for them?
All of the actors are my friend, most of them at least, and the approach was to talk with them about the short film. So basically, they are all taking part in a short film. That is true, because each scene is a short film for them. First, I didn't tell them that it's a feature film, that we want to become a feature film. I felt that maybe it will be stressful for them if they think that they are they're working in a feature film without permission, and at the same time they didn't. If I say them that this is a feature film, they had to read the whole script, and if they read the whole script, it would be very difficult for them to accept it. So I just approached them because they knew me, and I said, okay, I want to make a short film with you. There's just one camera, there's just one shot, and they accepted. And when the film was finished, I called them and said, okay, I made it as a different part of a feature film. If you like, I can take your part out then, but nobody, of course, said that. And there were a lot of people behind the camera that I asked them to come on the set, because it was a film that with a lot of conversation, so I had to have all the people behind the camera on the set, and they are very important actors, the people behind the camera. Most of them are more famous than the people in front of the camera. It was not a difficult time to choose the actors, but I changed also 3 of the actors on the set because they could not just do whatever I want. We just changed them and add another person the day after.
And those episodes that we see, how strongly are they inspired by real life? Did you conduct interviews? Did you talk to people or maybe also to officials to have a very exact idea of what goes on in certain official or formal situations? Do they stem maybe from your own experience?
The whole episodes are based on reality. They have been happened to someone in my family member. For instance, the registration was happened to my niece when my sister wanted to name the child. They didn't accept and they changed it. And the tattoo one was, the director was something that happens to me. So the whole episodes are happening in the film. They're based on reality, but they are not exactly the reality. The basic is the reality, but we changed it in the own way that we wanted. We added humor, we added drama, we added a lot of this in the reality. So we created our own reality. So what you see is not exactly the reality, but they are true. They are part of the reality. And so each Iranian that watched this film, they connect with one of them at least, or 2. Yesterday there was some Iranians that any of them said, okay, I experienced this. The other one said, I experienced this. So that means that the whole thing is reality, but later we changed it.
And you also mentioned shortly in the beginning that you are already working on a new project, a new movie. Would you like to say a few things about, or is it all top secret until now?
Yeah, I'm writing. I'm just doing a film in the same style that without going through this bureaucratic and censorship system. I'm trying to make a film. It's more very personal film about my personal life and my personal experience in life. It's still a documentary fiction. This is very documentary fiction style. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah, we definitely will go and see it. And Terrestrial Verses is out in cinemas now, so you can go and see it, which I really, really recommend. It's a fantastic movie. Go watch it. And thank you so much for the interview. And yeah, hope to see you again maybe at Berlinale or Cannes next year.
Hopefully.
Yeah.